Wars 2, Episode 1, Whisper in the Dark.
Like with most fantasy games, and yet again in Guild Wars 2, it looks like this time the story's going to start off with another magical phone call, this time from Almora. Throughout the entire phone call, she sounds kind of weird, maybe constipated, or at the very least tired, and she's constantly interrupting you the entire time you're talking. Apparently, that awful snowstorm that prevented us from pursuing Scar from the Lion King and Ritlock's son at the end of the last story chapter is now no longer a threat, and we should gather up all of our friends and head to Jorah's Keep. You agree to meet Almora there, but you first take the time to magically call Ritlock, who apparently has been listening on the other line this entire time. Ritlock has already heard this conversation because apparently magical phone calls can be listened to by anyone connected, and he does agree that things sound a little bit weird, but that he'll go with you and make sure everything's okay. It would seem that once again we'll need to head to the Black Citadel where Ritlock keeps his chopper, but this time it seems like those chopper enthusiasts have kind of moved on to something else. Now you might think, hey, we just went to Grothmar Valley and that's very close to Jorah's Keep, maybe we could just walk there, but unfortunately we're going to need to take the chopper once again. And after all, do remember there is a large gap that there is absolutely no way we could ever cross as just our character. There's nothing that could have been done to jump that gap. So after a short conversation with Marjorie, you get into the chopper and head off to Jorah's Keep. Upon arrival, it becomes pretty obvious that the storm has not let up and it's still very dangerous to fly the chopper there, which should raise flags for two reasons. Firstly, Almora just told us it was safe to come here and that the storm had died down, so something's probably not okay. And two, it does seem like choppers are capable of making it through the storm that did prevent us from pursuing Scar from the Lion King when we last left off. Either way, we're here once again, and now you need to head with Braham, Ritlock, Krisha, and Marjorie to a nearby fort to see what's going on. As you approach the door, Braham starts going off about his guild members he let down that we've only kind of heard about up until this point, so we kind of just ignore him, and once we approach the door, we realize that it's already open and there's no one there to meet us, so there's probably something terrible on the other side. Once in the fort, it's pretty clear that everyone's gone and something serious definitely went down. You and Braham decide to explore the barracks for survivors and immediately get magically sealed in as soon as you enter. The room is just full of corpses and it's not looking great, but after a little bit of exploration, you find the bird lens. Braham puts two and two together and says he's pretty sure he saw a bird statue and the two probably go hand in hand, so you make your way over to that statue and then, oh my god, oh so terrifying, it's so how Lovecraftian. And a guy basically just dies in front of you, opening a door to another room that's just full of corpses. You make your way to the bird statue, and it seems that that mystical, magical bird lens has an amazing ability to just unseal doors that are magically sealed, and you leave the room. On the other side, you see some of your friends, and apparently while you were trapped in the barracks, they were able to explore literally every other building in this fort, and there were no survivors, everyone's dead. Now, they didn't have to deal with any magical barriers or anything like that, but whatever. You speak with your friends about what you should do next, and ultimately decide that you should continue trying to figure out what happened here, so you and Bram head out of the fort to explore and hopefully use that bird lens to figure out what happened. As soon as you leave the fort, if you look behind yourself, you'll notice that it's completely full of people, even though it was just totally empty, which is really confusing, but you don't think about it too much because we got stuff to do. You and Braham fearlessly walk out into that super cold winter wonderland that prevented us from doing anything before, and apparently the bird lens has some sort of extra ability, this time to allow a Norn to record itself and anyone that's with them in order to play back for other people in the event that maybe they get kidnapped, which is totally what happened. After watching some Norn courtings, they eventually find out that they were taken to a cave, so you head to a nearby cave in hopes that that's where they are. Surprise, it's where they are, and so you enter, and of course they're tied up, and now you have to take out a bunch of Svanir before you can have a conversation. Not only do you have to take out the two Svanir guarding your friends, but it does appear that there are some secret Svanir just waiting to kill you. After some brief combat, you're able to speak with your new friend or ally, Jarvis, who tells you a little bit about what's been going on before you got there. Apparently, their comms have been down due to the storm, so it's really weird that Almora even called you in the first place. And while I haven't mentioned this yet, the entire time you've been here, especially when you were trapped in that magical sealed room, you kind of heard some whispers, but they never really said anything all that interesting, so I guess I forgot to mention it. Well, it appears that everyone's been hearing these whispers, and while you've only been hearing phrases like rest and let me help you, it seems that pretty much everyone else, including and especially the boy Norn, have just been hearing all sorts of crazy stuff that's making them kill everybody. Jarvis also reveals that those whispers are coming from another elder dragon, and this time it's Jormag, but you're in a cold place and someone's whispering to you, so I guess you could probably figure that out. It's decided that it's now time to try and track down Almora as she's still MIA, so you and your friends split up and go all across the Arctic in search of her. Now, since everyone's splitting up, you should find her in no time, but for some reason, nobody really gets started on looking for her until you show up to help them. You meet up with Marjorie to stop a ritual from happening, but don't see Almora there. You meet Braham at a camp and help defend that camp, and then guess what? You go to a different camp where Ritlock and Krish are, and you defend that camp. Now that all the camps are safe, Ritlock just happens upon Almora's secret message, and you're able to discover that she's in a cave nearby. So you make a short trip to that cave, and once you get inside, you kinda just find Almora's corpse under some rocks, and I guess she's dead. You pry a second bird lens off of her frozen corpse, and now it's time to head to the bird sanctuary. Well, it should be, but I guess you have to level up your bird powers first, so you just sort of go around killing stuff and, you guessed it, defending more camps until eventually you've ascended to godhood. With your eternal ascension out of the way, it is now time to head to the bird sanctuary, so you meet up with your friends and you use your newfound powers to get inside. It appears that this bird sanctuary is basically just a big maze, and ever so often you'll find some bird statues. Unlike the bird statues that open magically sealed doors, these ones ask you some questions, and after answering your first question, it's revealed that your answers are basically irrelevant and the bird statues are just trying to get to know what kind of person you are. So you continue down empty hallways, sometimes with your party and sometimes not. Sometimes it's poisonous and other times it's not, but eventually you'll make it to all three of these bird statues, answer their irrelevant questions, and make your way to the final room. Now that the trial has been completed, you can finally enter this last room, and once you get inside, it becomes pretty clear that something terrible has gone down. No one's inside, and the people that were there seem to be encased in ice. After a brief conversation as to what might have gone down here, you kind of get attacked by a Svanir who apparently heard the same whispers as the other boy Svannirs, and so of course you gotta take him out, and you do. Once he's been dealt with, you kind of think that things are going to go back to normal or you've dealt with some sort of threat, but he kind of just gets back up, and this time he's a lot creepier. It turns out that Jormag can just sort of talk through corpses, so that's what the dragon does. The dragon then tells us that we will eventually require its services, but that's basically it, and then it sort of just ends. It becomes pretty clear that the only reason Almora called us way back at the beginning of this whole endeavor was because she was already dead and the dragon possessed her and used her comms to get a hold of us. However, unless dragons can boost some sort of magical telephone signal, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that her comms would magically work at a longer range in the storm, but whatever, I guess that doesn't really matter. Also, it really seems like Jormag is going to be a strong ally moving forward. Clearly, our interests are aligned, as all we've done so far is go around killing people or whispering to people to kill others, so great.